Yeah, Rabbi Baruch Levi, Rabbi B here from Soul Centered. I want to talk to you today about the Enneagram. I haven't spoken on the Enneagram in a while, as it merges with Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism. I'm sharing this because I was just on a panel, an interfaith panel, amazing. First one I've ever heard of, certainly first one I've ever participated in, with a Sufi teacher and a Christian minister and a rabbi. It sounds like the beginning of a joke. It was no joke. It was serious. It was beautiful. We each brought our respective spiritual religious traditions to the conversation of the Enneagram for an Enneagram conference on the Shift Network. I'll get you more information. Hopefully it'll be out pretty soon. It's pre-recorded. And in this conversation, I was asked to talk about the Enneagram as it relates to Judaism and Kabbalah. And one of the things I did around that is talked about the conflict I have. And I have conflict around the Enneagram, the way it's perceived and the way it's used. And I do this too. We use the Enneagram to put ourselves into a box, to put other people into the box. We do this with Myers-Briggs tests, with all standardized testing, personality testing, IQ type personality or IQ testing. We need these things to some degree. I'm not sure how much, certainly not to get into colleges. They can help us. They can empower us. They can liberate us. But the problem is they can also imprison us. I'm doing a lot of teaching and writing right now around this idea of being imprisoned by labels, by other people's opinions, by expectations, by numbers, especially by numbers. Numbers are so imprisoning, confining, and I'll do a whole podcast on how we're imprisoned by numbers. But I talked a lot about in this on this panel that the Jewish mystical tradition has a deep, deep problem with the Enneagram, the way it's practiced today. They don't say that. They don't have any language for the Enneagram, but they would have a deep problem with Myers-Briggs and the SATs and all these other things. Not because you're not allowed to have language, but because we've confused them as an end, not a means. So what does that mean? There's nothing wrong with using an Enneagram, the personality test, if you remember it's a means to help you navigate, to communicate more effectively, to interact at a higher level, to become conscious of your default, your reactions, your kind of base behavior. If it's a means to help you grow and ascend beyond that, it is a great thing. But if it becomes, which is what I hear often, I am an Enneagram 8, and I'm guilty of this. I say it all the time, and then I catch myself. I am acting like an Enneagram 8. That's my default. You might be acting like a 2, but people start saying, I am a 2, with some pride, which is ironic since 2 is defined by pride and not a good thing. But also just unconsciously. Sometimes, it's all I can do, react. I'm an 8, right? So it can also be this prison sentence as well. The Kabbalists turn to the name of God as an Enneagram type, as a Myers-Briggs type, right? Because we need to communicate with God. So we have labels, we have descriptions. If you look at the labels in the Bible, the name of God, there's not one G-O-D. There's supposedly, the Kabbalists say, 72 names of God. Each one is a different description of manifestation of divine qualities. The Kabbalistic tree of life, I actually have a book called The Enneagram and Kabbalah by Howard Addison. This tree of life over here, and you can see lots of commonalities and connections. Maybe I'll do a whole talk on this. But you can see there's 10 spheres or circles. Those are 10 manifestations of the divine. But they're not God. They're experiences of God. Moses says, what's your name, God? What Enneagram type are you? What's your Myers-Briggs, right? Sounds like a bad pickup line. And God basically responds with the only way God could possibly respond. I'm not giving you a name, a proper noun. I'm giving you a verb. Ehyeh, asher, ehyeh. I will be that I will be. I am unfolding. I am evolving. Once you name me, it's no longer me. You can only experience me. You can only meet me in the experience. And when you're meeting God in the experience, and when you're growing, when you're evolving, when you're dynamic, that's the divine experience. But when it becomes static, this is who I am, and this is as God is, and here's my prayer. We've now taken the infinite and made it finite. We've taken the dynamic and made it static, and that is idolatry. I don't believe that the statues behind me are idolatrous. If you're an observant Jew, it's ridiculous. They're beautiful statues of a figment, right? It's not the Buddha. It's a figment. It's an idea of what the Buddha represented. Bowing down to it is not idolatry. Do you know what idolatry is? Bowing down to something, believing it is the divine. It is God. And great mystics have said we can turn commandments into idolatry. When we believe that the commandment and fulfilling it and checking the box, regardless of how it impacts a person or an environment or ourselves, maybe it's harmful for ourselves because we're not doing it properly. Maybe we're giving away all our money, or we're on Yom Kippur you're fasting, and you're in bad health, and you're hurting yourself, and you refuse to listen to the doctor or listen to your loved one, and they say eat, it's Yom Kippur, eat, you need to, and you keep fasting and you could hurt yourself. That's idolatry. You're stuck, not believing that there's any fluidity and dynamism and changing and evolution in these commandments or personal relationship with God. And this is your relationship in this moment at this time. We are here to evolve, to grow, to ascend. And that is what the commandments are for. That is what religious practices for. That is what Myers-Briggs and the Enneagram and all these other pathways are for. If they are a means, they can become holy and divine, helping us ascend layer by layer, level by level in consciousness and growth. And if they become static and stuck, it's who I am. It's what I do. I am a Jew. I am a Christian. I am an American. I am a fill in the blank. That is part of who you are. Maybe it's an important part of who you are, but you are so much more. You're a mom and you're a dad and you're a this and you're a that. And we are all spiritual fluidity flowing through us because the divine is fluid. The divine is dynamic. And the moment it isn't divine. So use the Enneagram or Myers-Briggs or some other great tools, and I'll use them with you. I'll help you. I love it. But I am not an Enneagram 8. You are not an Enneagram 3. I'm acting like an Enneagram 3. Right now I'm acting like an INFJ. Actually, I'm not. More like an E, an extroverted. But it's not who I am. It's how I choose to show up. End with this, Viktor Frankl. Between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies our freedom and our power to choose our response. All of these systems are here to help you take back your power to choose your response to life. No number and no label and no box is who you are. Take a step back from whatever that might be. Choose your path. Choose your response. Stop reacting to your number. Start responding to your life. Defy your number. Live your name. That's the Defiant Spirit. I will see you next time. Until then, shalom, salam, namaste. Peace.